Leaving behind the Karnataka state capital, city of Bangalore, with its famed IT corridor and concrete buildings, traveling northwest on the national highway for about 80 miles, we come across Turuvekere, a small town in Tumakuru district. This region reaches us through the swirling mists of time, a region once ruled by the Hoysala dynasty from the 10th century BC onwards. Though the landscape has changed dramatically since then, there are ancient moments still waiting for us out there, moments and monuments that enable us to reach out and caress the face of history. Here we come across large water tanks that had sustained a predominantly agricultural community from hundreds of years ago, an ancient realm rich in history. Turuvekere was once an agrahara or rent-free village granted to scholarly Brahmins in the 13th century AD. An agrahara was a grant of land and royal income from it, typically by a king or a noble family in India for religious purposes, particularly to Brahmins to maintain temples in that land or a pilgrimage site and to sustain their families. The Hoysala era was an important period in the development of South Indian art, architecture, and religion. The empire is remembered today primarily for Hoysala architecture. 100 surviving temples are scattered across Karnataka. Hoysala society in many ways reflected the emerging religious, political, and cultural developments of those times. During the Hoysala dynasty period, military expansion went hand in hand with a religious revival. Hoysalas defeated Cholas and Chalukyari kings and expanded their hold. Hoysala kingdom reached its zenith around 1200 AD. To celebrate this enormous success, they built temples in Belur, Halebeedu, and other neighboring towns. There was a festive mood. A period of importance and prosperity began. In 1286 AD, Somanatha Dandanayaka, a general of the Hoysala king Narasimha III, names this agrahara as Sarvagna Shri Vijaya Narasimhapura and donated the place to Brahmins. During later years, the name was changed to Turuvekere because of the large lake on the north side of the town. Turuvekere is home to a number of Hoysala temples, including the Temple of Channakeshava, the Gangadhareshwara Temple, Beteraya Swami Temple, and Sri Moole Shankareshwara Temple. The Moole Shankareshwara Temple was built around 1260 AD. During the rule of the Hoysala Empire king Narasimha III, an amazing display of sculptural exuberance. This temple is a protected monument under the Karnataka State Division of the Archaeological Survey of India. The temple plan is a Bhumija Nagara style on a semi-stellate base. The building material is the standard soapstone and the hall, the mantapa, is a closed one. The temple has all the basic elements of a standard Hoysala temple and comprises a sanctum, Garbhagriha, which is connected to a closed hall by a square vestibule, Shukanasi. The entrance into the hall from the outside is through a porch, Mukha Mantapa. Outside there are names of sculptors named Saroja, Jakkanna and Ishwara. Patronage continued for hundreds of years for this temple. But alas, in the recent past, there was not much attention given for the upkeep of the temple. The temple fell into neglect. There was a fire in the temple several years ago that damaged the roof, and it was temporarily fixed with an additional pillar support. In recent years, few plants and trees started popping up, sending its roots surging into the gap between the stones. Though the temple stood firm, its masonry started developing large cracks. After more than 800 years, the temple was finally showing signs of wear and tear, mainly due to neglect and lack of maintenance. It was important to take timely conservation measures to protect the ancient monument. During 1993 and 1995, Sri Dharmasthala Manjunatheshwara Dharmothana Trust, along with Surabhi Sangama Trust, performed some restoration work to improve the condition of the temple. In 2021 October, Sri Moole Shankareshwara Trust, along with Sri Dharmasthala Manjunatheshwara Dharmothana Trust, and Karnataka Government Department of Archaeology, Museums and Heritage, decided to take up a mammoth task of restoring and renovating the Sri Moole Bhavani Shankara temple. The challenge was to find a way to safeguard the structure without compromising its integrity. It needed to be reconstructed completely, as this is a very important monument of the Hoysala period. The reconstruction had to be done to exactly match the original structure. Plans were put in place to preserve the original stones that were used for the reconstruction. In this manner, the original character of the temple was maintained. Another challenge was to recreate the stucco and stone figures, identical figures made by today's artists, having the necessary skill to create credible replicas. The temple trust and the team traced the process of restoration of this ancient temple from a state of dilapidation to its former glory, thereby studying a lost art through modern eyes. In all, over 2,000 carved stones and chapadi stones were removed from the temple structure. First, the stones were arranged and stored according to the numberings. Second, they were restored, and finally, they were scrubbed, cleaned and washed. Then the first layer was arranged all around the temple. Metal clamps were inserted between the stones to keep the structure in place. Then the space in between the two walls was filled with boulder, surki and cement. After the curing process, the roof and shikara were reconstructed. The restoration and renovation of the temple was completed during the final week of September 2022. The Temple Trust, with the help of Turuvekere community, organized a Maha Kumbhabhisheka program on October 6th and 7th, 2022 to rededicate the temple to the community. Extensive rituals and cultural programs spanning a couple of days were performed by trained professionals to re-establish the sanctity of the temple and transfer the spiritual energy from the Kalasha back to Sri Bhavani Shankara deity after restoration and renovation project. The temple also completed 48 days of daily Mandala Puja after the Kumbhabhisheka. The Temple Trust has brought back the regular daily puja every day puja, Monday Rudrabhisheka puja, and special programs during festivities like Maha Shivaratri, Deepotsava, Kartika Masa Puja, Rathotsava, and monthly and cultural programs. The goal of the temple trust is to continue to work with the local community, organize these programs regularly, and enjoy the regained glory. Finally, the purpose of this is twofold: to capture for the sake of posterity the marvels of an 850-year-old art, and also to show through the film the need to achieve a necessary connection with our history. This video clip is a slice of easily accessible history, invaluable to present and future generations. We are very proud to be able to protect our heritage. Congratulations to everyone involved in this amazing accomplishment.